It's scary that someone in this town is a young man. What happened down there and they're never solved.
Everybody that they find down there, they find them in the woods.
They're happening back to back.
A lot going on in this town, but don't nobody talk about it.
But what if it was your kid? What if it was your grandson?
When you hear something like that in this area, you go, Lunenburg? Here?
He got shot in the back. He got dismembered.
Both arms and both legs.
In a shallow grave, he had lye poured on top of him.
This is probably one of the worst homicides, not just in this county, but in the state of Virginia.
What in the world could you do for a person to do that to another person?
17 years old. He didn't deserve this. He was still a kid trying to find his way.
From local stories to Wayne County news, get ready to dive into everything happening in North Carolina with Taylor House Publishing. Got a story to share? Shoot us an email at taylorpublishinghouse@gmail.com. If you're looking to publish your book or need some top-notch mentorship, we've got your back. Join the excitement with the one and only Richard Taylor, right here at Taylor House Publishing. Speak with Richard directly at 919-587-7782. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and invite your family and friends to watch.
From Wayne County to the Carolina coast, Taylor House brings the news you love most. Tune in on YouTube, don't miss a beat. Local stories that keep you in your feet.
Taylor House, we got the school.
Taylor House Publishing.
So peace and blessings, peace and blessings. The individuals that you heard in the video were residents from Lunenburg County in Virginia, and most specifically, the city of Kenbridge, Virginia. Now, Lunenburg is located on the south mideastern part of Virginia, close to the North Carolina border, and Lunenburg has long been known to some as being racially hostile to black people. However, there has been numerous deaths, as you see from the video, of young black men in that area for the past 2 or 3 years now. And the most gruesome, the most horrific case is that of 17-year-old Cion Carroll. Now, Cion Carroll disappeared from his grandmother's house on November the 2nd, 2022, which is about 2 years ago. 10 days later, he was found on Seaway in a shallow grave, and his body was dismembered and lye poured on his face. And he was buried in a shallow grave and covered partially by cement. Yes, covered partially by cement.
I miss everything about him. Everything. I miss him a lot. It's a struggle on a day-to-day basis. You know, people say take it one day at a time. I actually take it 1 second at a time. Because I'm forced to just deal with it. But I still have to go on to get justice for him. And that's a promise. I wake up every morning and I make sure I tell him I'm sorry that this happened to you, but I will get justice for you. Both arms and both legs. Both arms and both legs was dismembered. And he had a lot of chop wounds, I guess, from them trying to dismember him.
And that is his mother. And you heard the pain in her voice as, to date, there have been no conclusion, no resolution, no closing of the case to find out who did this to her son. Now, Seon was originally from Richmond, the Richmond area of Virginia, and apparently he had been in some trouble. He had, I guess, going through anything like the regular 17-year-old black man goes through in America. He had been probably going through some things trying to find himself. Therefore, they sent him down to Lunenburg County to live with his grandmother. And his grandmother stated that he had only been there for 4 months when this atrocity happened to him. Now, Cion Carroll, according to his grandmother, was last seen the night before. The two had reportedly got into some sort of a disagreement because evidently he wasn't keeping the house clean enough for grandmoms. You know how grandmoms are. I think he had some jackets or clothes laying on the floor. And they had got into an argument. His grandmother said, he came back in later and apologized and went outside, kind of smoke a black and mild. And then, his grandmother went to sleep. And, she said that that's the last time that she saw her grandson.
9 or 10.
So by 1 a.m., was he outside or?
I don't know. I went to sleep. And when I got up that morning, I went back there in the room because I usually wake him up to get him ready, for to meet the van out there. And I said, well, maybe he already, went out there and caught the van. So I didn't think nothing else of it. So I went on, got ready, went to work, came back home. And I was like, he usually be in the house by the time I get off work. So I called the school and they said they hadn't seen him.
And so evidently, Seon left that morning. Now, the grandmother says that, she went to work that morning. She didn't see him, so she figured that he had already called the van that takes him to school. Then she got home later on that day. And when she didn't see him, that's when, she got worried because he's normally home by the time she gets off of work. Nevertheless, she called the school, and the school informed her that they had not seen him either. And so, evidently, sometime between the night that she went to sleep and, the morning or the time that she got off work is when Seon disappeared. And his grandfather, Junius, has also done some research, and he said that the last time that anybody seen him was in the morning with the boys at the shed.
Yep.
The boys ran the store, said that last time they seen Seon, he was at the shed with them boys. And then the shed burned up. Come on now. Something wrong. And you could see the black ran the door, but the shed won't burn down. There was a fire on the inside of it.
It kind of.
And so that definitely seems suspicious, that somebody would say that he was at the shed and then the shed burned down. So that leads me to believe that something had some evidence in there that somebody wanted to cover up. But the next part of the case is a little bit more sinister and strange. The parents and the relatives said that his cell phone pinged at a registered ex-offender's house. And that phone pinged there, and the family went there and knocked on the door. And the people there told them that, there was no reason that he should, be there or he would be there. And also they went to the police and asked them, hey, why are you not searching, that residence? And the police gave some excuse saying, that it wasn't part of the investigation or anything like that. And they also one time removed members of a search party from the property who had went there. That is strange. It seems like the police are trying to protect someone, but also a few weeks later or a few months later, the person whose house that the phone pinged out, that was the registered S offender, was somehow scrubbed from the S offenders registry. Yes, they were scrubbed from the S offenders registry. And so that seems strange as well. But let's listen to another aspect that seems even more stranger considering this disappearance.
One of the phones that he had was a iPhone. It didn't have service, but it was my oldest son's old iPhone. And he did the find my iPhone, and the phone pinged where it pinged to. I went there. Nobody saw him, and then I started to receive messages stating that it was a tier 3 sex offender that lived at the home. So it was really, now it's really awkward. So when I went there that Friday evening, they told me that he wouldn't have a reason to be down there. They don't know him.
Police came up then and told them they had to leave the property.
It was about 6 days after we assembled in Lunenburg with the search party, which was actually election day.
We began to walk down to the Poorhouse Road location. In the midst of us walking, we were stopped by an officer that was driving a Dodge Charger, a gray one, and he introduced himself as Officer Barnes. And I asked him, he asked me, did I need any help? I said, well, you can help us look for Cion. So he told me that to come closer to his vehicle. And he said, I've been looking for Seon all day. Come closer, come take a look. When I approached the car, I seen like brush and dirt and maybe some leaves on his lap. And he kind of gave it a little brush like, yeah, I've been looking for him. So me looking at him like, well, we're walking and we don't look like that. So how do you get brush and leaves and dirt on your lap in a car?
And I said, hey, I have a question. Why has that lives here and you don't need a warrant to go inside of this home? And he proceeds to tell me that he's not technically considered an offender. Something about he was just in the car with someone and the girl, and that's how he got the charge, but technically he's not considered as an offender. I said, well, he's registered on the offender registry. So how do you get registered on the offender registry without being considered an offender?
All right, so there you hear members of the family or the search party being blotted out and being approached by the then police chief, Ben Barnes. Now, Ben Barnes tells them that he had been looking for Seon all day. And as they go to the car, they see brush and dirt and, debris all over his, I guess, pants or whatever. Which leads me to believe that he may have been a part of disposing of Seon. Now, they said that, and you'll hear later, they said that they had searched the area that he was found already. But upon further review, they wanted to search the area again. But if you listen to the last part of that clip, the officer pulled the Jedi mind trick on her. The lady asked him, why have you not searched the offender's home? And the officer deflects, saying, oh, no, he's not an offender. He was just in the car with someone, and, he really didn't do it. And then the person took the bait and said, well, he's still on the registry. The main question was, why haven't you searched the home when, the phone pinged there? So that officer did a good job of deflecting from the question. And eventually that registry, or that name registry, was removed from the registry. But what happens next further believes that all fingers and all hands should point to the police chief, which was Ben Barnes, and the lady, which is who the lady they was talking to. Because Ben Barnes is the one who found him. That same sheriff who told the family, look, yeah, I've been looking for him all day. The same sheriff or the same police chief on a supposed hunch was the one who went back and found Cion in the shallow grave.
How he find it? How did he find it? He was the only one out there.
Just remembering some of the conversations that I had when I went there to meet with him, and everything, every scenario he gave me that could have happened to my son had something to do with Woods. Every scenario. He gave me 3 scenarios. One of them including, well, he takes medicine. So the medicine that he take, I went to class and I know that one of the meds that he take, he possibly could have went in the woods and committed. You telling the mother that's looking for her son that he went in the woods and committed?
A red flag went up. He resigned in the middle of an investigation in his town. In his town. That don't look good.
And so there you see that the man who found Cion, and you see how young he looks. He is very young to be a police chief. But the man who found Cion is going to resign a few months into the investigation. And if you listen to the mother's story, she continuously said that even before he was found, Detective Barnes continued to plant that seed that, yeah, your son probably is going to be found in the woods. You know, the medicine he takes is probably going to go out in the woods and unalive himself. Like the ignorance of their explanation to these families, you know, is nonsensical. You know, and this man takes and resigns. Now, mind you, he had only been on the force for about 3 to 5 years, I think, and had already risen to the status of police chief. Then he's going to automatically resign in the midst of an investigation. Now, he did put out a statement saying, okay, well, yeah, and this is a couple of years later, like, yeah, my decision to resign came way before this case, but, you know, out of respect for the family and, you know, the city, I decided to join in the investigation before my resignation. Now, initially he said that he just went on a hunch that he found, Seon just by, you know, having a hunch that he was there. But later, he revealed that he did have an anonymous tip, and he withheld information about that tip to protect the tipster's family and the family of the victim. And so now he has a tip, and he wants to protect the tipster's family. Now, in a town that small of 12,000 people, I would venture to believe that probably the individual who did it was the one who called and gave the tip. And what's most disturbing about it is that the grandmother who last saw him said that she was not interviewed by anyone. And that anyone means police, investigators, news reporters, anyone. She was not interviewed about the disappearance of her grandson. So to this day, December the 1st, 2020, the case of Cion Carroll remains unsolved. 17-year-old boy disappears between the nighttime and the daytime and is found 10 days later in an area which was already searched by search party and police. And then this Ben Barnes guy says, okay, well, now I got a hunch that he may be over there, and had received a tip that the young man was there. And then he subsequently resigns. from the Post. Once again, is very suspicious at best. But this is not the only death that is related to this situation. The grandfather said that it was a young friend of his, young friend of Sion's, who led him to some other guys who were quote unquote at the shed. And the grandfather went and talked to the guys at the shed, and then the guy at the shed, a couple of days later, ends up being shot and unalive. And then the young man who led the grandfather to the shed also went into the woods and quote unquote unalived himself. And we're going to talk about those stories at a future date. But someone sent me this, and they've been real adamant about me sharing the story of Kenbridge, and so I wanted to do that because I didn't know it runs this deep. But apparently there are a lot of more unalivings of young black men that has happened in this area without any resolution. So hopefully this brings some light to the situation, shines a light on the area of Kenbridge, Virginia, and hopefully somebody will come forth with some information that will lead to some justice in this situation. Once again, my number is 919-587-7782, or you can email me at taylorpublishinghouse@gmail.com. Peace and blessings. Y'all have a blessed day.
Right here at Taylor House Publishing. Speak with Richard directly at 919-587-7782. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and invite your family and friends to watch.
From Wayne County to the Carolina coast, Taylor House brings the news you love most. Tune in on YouTube, don't miss a beat. Local stories that keep you in your face.
Taylor House, we got the scoop.